This is the Sports Timeout Podcast with Brooklyn Farrell, Tony Caranco, and your host, Wes Underwood.
I train the fortitude of stronger soldiers. Carry this caricature on my shoulders. No one can see the tension beneath. I got the gateway to the coward's kingdom. Retreat to ruin in the face of evil. No place to hide. I lift up my eyes. Break me down and bury my face. I'm a time bomb ready to detonate. Leave me in ashes. I'll rise up and flame. You can knock me out, destroy my name, but my power it comes from a higher place. And my weaknesses just make me stronger. My weaknesses will make me stronger. I live the luxury of dead man's organs. Enlist the energy of greater forces. No one can see the stitches beneath. The height of heaven is within my vision. This is what's more than superstition. God take me. I forfeit it all. Break me down and bury my face. I'm a time bomb ready to detonate. Leave me in ashes.
And those were some of the Ghetto Taco sights and sounds from this past week. Lots of good events going on. I mean, wow. And, well, welcome into the Sports Timeout Podcast, brought to you by Jefferson's and Cajun Seafood House in Joplin. Wes Underwood, along with Tony and Clint, again on this beautiful Friday. And, well, you guys ready to get right to it, or?
Oh yeah. Let's sports time out.
What's over here?
Perfect phrasing.
Yeah, somewhere there. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and get to it. Talk Super Bowl. Chiefs win, but really here, I mean, Juju gets a ring.
Woo!
Our own Brandon Williams gets a ring. Ronald
Yes.
Jones, the second, gets another ring. Kadarius Toney gets a ring. Melvin Gordon, a guy who was staring at Russell Wilson at some point last season, got a ring.
Mhm. Yeah.
Marcus
Anybody who was
Kemp-
on the Chiefs team got a ring.
a wing.
Yeah.
yeah.
They probably got some
you're
wings
right.
too.
But I mean, seriously though, Melvin Gordon is a guy who probably deserved it, but got lazy in Denver because it's like, okay, y'all were supposed to make me running back one, and okay, you bring in
Yeah.
this,
And he
okay.
fumbled it. And now how much do you flaunt that, like, around the family and stuff? There, like putting on your ring, like, I was on the camp during a Super Bowl, so I helped with this. Then you were on the Broncos, literally their rival. It's kind of a
Yeah.
funny thing. I guess
Oh.
it puts at ease at mind that we had Melvin Gordon in our practice squad, so that
That's
made our
crazy.
running backs.
Yeah. I mean, our running back room was stacked. I mean, he may have been as effective
was.
as Le'Veon Bell, but
Yeah, most likely. Probably why he didn't get any snaps.
I
But
could go on and on here.
Yeah, we're bearing the lead because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Show the hat.
Yeah,
To that.
over here somewhere,
Yes.
somewhere in
That's
there. I
right,
don't know
that's
if it's popping up, but yeah, I don't know. All these guys though come out of free agency or ride the Mahomes magic, get a win,
Yeah.
get that Super Bowl. Small market team. That's why I like it. I mean, everybody's used to the Patriots. Everybody wants Cincinnati. Everybody wants Josh Allen. But I mean, all those guys have put in hard work over the last few years for their respectable clubs. Didn't quite get there because of Brady and Mahomes and Allen and Burrow. And well, yeah, I mean, some of them got hurt too and became third fiddle. That, like we just mentioned with Gordon there. But that's why I love this team and this organization. They've always gone after guys who were no ones. I mean, Dante Hall wasn't supposed to be in the NFL. Too small. Great return, man. Priest Holmes injured, rode the bench for Jamal Lewis. Watched him win a Super Bowl there. Didn't get one in Kansas City, but came back in 2002 and 2001. 2001, he led the league in yards. In 2002, won the rushing title. and Offensive Player of the Year in 2003, and then also led the NFL in touchdowns with 27 that year. That was awesome. Jared Allen, nobody, given a second chance after his battle with alcoholism and stuff like that. But this organization's always gone after the guy like that, and I've always given them kudos to that because we're always like, who is this? What?
Yeah.
And they go do great things. So
Even something like this year with Kadarius Toney, where it's like,
Yeah.
he's probably a guy where we should probably just. It's like, no, we can give him a chance. It's kind of funny though. Also, I feel like all of those Chiefs players feel like this is like. Again, I can just tell Tony this is not his conversation, but we're gonna get him on board. But it's like I feel like Trent Green, like you just said, Priest Holmes. I feel like that's like part of Chiefs lore, though. So they probably feel just as happy that these Super Bowls are happening because it's like we're part of the history of the Chiefs. You know, I remember being a kid and like going to this thing called Apple Butter Making Days in Mount Vernon and hearing about like that Trent Green, and now they're 9-0, and then, you know, they're a fun team, and now here we are, and we're like a possible dynasty. And as I heard one podcaster say, like, for most people, maybe if you're a rival team, you don't feel the same, but like a very fun possible dynasty team, as opposed to the Patriots that were basically just dink and dunk, and nothing was, 13 to 10 games every game. This is like if the Golden State Warriors were a football team, but also we keep winning. It's like the ultimate kind of. So I heard a lot of people that weren't Chiefs fans at all. They're like, you know what? If this is a dynasty, at least they're fun. I'd rather my team win, but at least they're fun to watch. So, and we saw it in one of the best Super Bowls.
I mean, Tony, I guess you heard a little bit about Juju there on social media with his. Did you like that one?
The trolling, like the Valentine's Day card. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Like overall, I thought the game was good.
Yeah,
I thought it was a really good game up till about the last 2 minutes. And in my opinion, and every other professional broadcaster that was watching the Super Bowl didn't agree with the call. And they're like, well, it's holding is holding. Well, sure. But the holding has to actually impede his route, and it didn't impede his route whatsoever. It didn't slow him down. The ball was obviously uncatchable. And again, so to me, for it to end pretty much like that, the defining moment in that game, to put the nail in the coffin, it was a really, really bad way to go out, in my opinion. I think that should have been a fourth down. They should have gone for the field goal. Philadelphia would have got the ball with short time left, and if the Chiefs would have won because of that, because they stopped them, great. If Philadelphia would have won, great as well. I mean, I really don't care. I just didn't like how it ended. It just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm sure you guys aren't fully satisfied that you guys didn't actually win it fair and square.
Well, the biggest thing I'm really upset about is how bad that turf was still since week 1, watching Butker get hurt. And then I went back and watched the rebroadcast of the game a couple times now, and Kelsey's on there going, man, do not line up on the paint. It is slick out there. And then
I think it was the paint specifically.
Yeah. And that's where Butker had his field goal that he missed. He like whiffed it because you could see his cleat just slide right off the paint. But he's not the only one.
They did a stat of how many people from each side slipped.
Yes.
The Philadelphia Eagles overwhelmingly slipped over the Kansas City players. And you guys take this as you will, but the guy who was in charge of the field is a Kansas City Chiefs guy. And you saw how many of the players on Philadelphia actually changed their cleats versus how many players on the Kansas City Chiefs
zooming in on it.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. The majority of the players that were changing their cleats were on the Philadelphia side. They had to change for longer cleats. And again, some sketchy stuff. I'm assuming they knew, okay, it's going to be a little bit more slippery out there. That's my little conspiracy out there. A little cheating on the Chiefs side.
Did you hear what Lockenfora said about it?
Who?
Jason Lockenfora, analyst for the ESPN there.
No.
He came out and goes, it was Rihanna's halftime show because they put those huge LED light stage on the ground, which created a bunch of moisture because it trapped in everything on the ground, I guess, because the field was already wet, obviously. But adding that heat drew out more, and so in the second half, that's why we saw more slips. So I don't know. It's weird.
Overwhelmingly
Yeah, I
on the
think-
Eagles side, though.
I think more realistically, it was someone explained that it was like someone they didn't account for, which is amazing. They didn't account for this in an NFL game, but that in Arizona it gets really hot and then gets really cool at night. I mean, obviously not like freezing cold, but it gets really cool like instantly, and that causes dew. And so all of a sudden there was just dew on the ground, and so everybody's like, you're seeing Jarek McKinnon slip, and you're seeing Mahomes slip while a defender slips.
Yeah.
Like everybody was like, slip and slide. Like bad luck for the NFL for them to like, well, we tried it out, it didn't work during the Super Bowl. Maybe if it was like a preseason game, it didn't work. That'd be one thing, but during the Super Bowl, but yeah, that would be. I think that would almost be the thing more. I mean, the conspiracy thing aside, I don't think it had anything to do with that because everybody was slipping. But I do think that would.
Overwhelmingly on the Eagles, though.
I mean, yeah, but it's not like they knew. Like, well, 8 people are going to slip for the Chiefs and 12 are going to slip. Therefore, it's like either it doesn't work for them at all.
But if you know information ahead of time, you can prepare yourself because all they did was switch to longer cleats, like so that they could have a little bit more traction, so they wouldn't slip and fall. So if you have that information available to you, you're gonna.
That's one way to look at it. But yeah, I think more realistically, it was just the dew from the Arizona dew at night that caused it because it was happening in the first half too. Because I saw the Rihanna thing too. I was like, maybe it was that, but I saw it a lot in the first half.
Yeah.
Especially there was a Sky Moore screen where I was like, "Ooh, that's going to go for big yards," and he just goes right to the ground. And I was like, "It was." And he's kind of known for tripping, so I was like, "Gosh darn it, Sky Moore!" But then you see it, and he just like his leg falls from under him.
Yeah, it was weird.
Anyways, that would almost be more of the reason if you were mad as an Eagles fan, not because of the conspiracy, but just because of like, if there was an advantage, it was like those defensive ends are trying to like really speed by the end, and that's tougher if the field is bad. So that could be a thing where it's like it was just tougher for them to get sacked because they're constantly their advantage is that they're speedy guys on the edge, but they kept going speedy and then falling. Whereas the Chiefs guys are more like kind of power, Chris Jones up the middle. You don't really need like that, you're not going to fall as often. So that probably was a bit of advantage, but it also was just the fact that, the Eagles defensive coordinator had nothing planned for Andy Reid in that second half. We've seen sometimes in the Super Bowls, these coordinators have, especially the Bengals, which is why they were so tough. They really have these second half plans that are like, okay, they're doing this. Now we're going to do this. And they just went the other way. They were just like, you know what? We're the Eagles. We went basically 14-1 with Jalen Hurts. We're just we can overpower this team. And it looked like it in the first half. You got an injured Mahomes. They're up by 10. And I guess they just discounted Andy Reid and he just went, that was a fire Andy Reid game.
Yeah.
Well, I think they looked like that the second half too. But the game was ended prematurely due to a bad penalty call.
Man, Tony's really spicy about this game. But yeah, the holding one apparently
I'm just being realistic.
Yeah, but the holding apparently holding is like a thing where it doesn't matter where you are or how it happens. If you grab jersey, you could be behind the line of scrimmage anywhere, and it's a penalty. It's just unfortunate because it was anticlimactic, which I agree with. If you didn't care at all about this game and you were just hoping for it to keep going, and instead it ends on a knee and a field goal, it's not near as fun.
No.
So it's more like disappointing than it is like fraudulent.
Yeah.
Even as a Chiefs fan, it was like, oh boy, this is just going to be the conversation, even though it was just, you should be mad at James Bradbury, not like thinking of what are the reasons here of why this went bad.
He was mad at himself.
Yeah, he was mad at himself. He was like, but yeah, other than that though, is that, man, really great for the Brett Veach legacy.
Did the Kelsey Bowl live up?
I think it did, man, especially with all those videos of them, their mom crying and their, like, it goes to Travis. I call him Kelsey, but there's two Kelsey. It goes to Travis and she's like celebrating and going crazy. And then it goes to Jason and she's like playing like the more somber mom. And it's kind of funny to see both sides of like absolute on top of the world. And like, I have to help my son because he's sad right now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to see that as her motherly instincts on camera. Have you seen that stuff, like that footage?
I loved how thankful they were for that too. Like they just thanked everyone around the United States in general for just accepting her and letting her in.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And yeah, just a great Brett Veach, the GM of the Chiefs, who does the draft picks and free agents, just an absolute, one of the best GM seasons ever that we trade Tyreek Hill away, have 9 rookies, and we beat this like powerhouse. It took me a while to realize they were a powerhouse, but they are a powerhouse Eagles team.
Yeah, I think they'll be right back next year. I really do.
Easily, especially in the NFC where there's like 4 good teams, maybe.
AFC will definitely be a wild card because Chiefs could be in contention next year, and we'll talk about that now. Switching over to Rob Gronkowski talk, the new rumor is he's making another comeback at 33. 2 teams are interested. They're in the lead here. And first up, I believe it's Sean Payton and the Broncos. Payton made a teaser video earlier this week saying that they could rename the team the Gronkos instead of the Broncos. But earlier this week as well, the Bills were in question as someone asked Gronkowski if he liked Josh Allen and would love to go there. He said he had extreme love for Josh Allen, but ultimately stated he was retired. But I mean, do you guys think Gronk makes a comeback here, or do you think he stays true to his word? Because I mean, he's only 33, so.
I mean, I can see him going back out, but to add to what you said, he also said that he's always been a Buffalo fan, you know, and the only time he wasn't a fan was whenever he was playing for the Patriots.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I can see him going to them and playing another season or two.
Yeah.
See what they can do.
It'd be fun.
That'd be a fun spot for him, actually. Also, how weird are sports that he's 33 and it's like, ooh, he is got to hang it up. He is 33,
retirements.
a year older than me, and it's like, oh boy, he is a cranky old man. But yeah, I think I'd be surprised. It kind of feels like he went through it. Also, how also crazy is it that Kelsey's like 8 months younger, and yet he's like at the peak of his powers, and Gronk is like, I don't know if my old baggy bones can get through this.
Yeah.
But I think Buffalo would be fun because I know it is his favorite team. Even though I think he is a little like, what's the word? He's like kind of mad about the fact they didn't draft him. So maybe it wouldn't quite feel the same if he went for 1 year, you know, with I think it'd be fun just have that Kelsey element again. I don't think he'll go with, I mean, now that Brady's retired, I wonder if that plays an element of like, now they don't have Brady. Do I really want to go with some random quarterback?
Someone made a meme today about Tom Brady being retired and said Chad Henry's job just opened up. You want to go sit on the bench for the Chiefs?
Can you imagine? Like how like disrespectful that be to Brady.
I mean, we could do that with Warren Moon too, right?
Oh yeah, there we go. Just like go. Reed likes those old backups.
I'll call his agent now.
Yeah, get him. We might have contact with Warren Moon and get him on the bench.
Yeah, no joke. Next up, we talk USFL, and they announced their rules this week. And, well, what are some of the things that stood out to you all? I mean, for me, it's the 2 forward passes. The quarterback gets the ball, throws it to the receiver, and then they can throw it down the field to the quarterback or somebody else on the field. That's pretty crazy to me. What are your all's thoughts here?
Yeah, I think that is absolutely bonkers. But what's also crazy to me is that they have a 3-point conversion option available now.
Yeah.
So you can do your regular 1 point field goal or PAT field goal from, I believe they said the 15. You could do your 2-point conversion from the 2, which is a little bit closer because the 2-point conversion is usually from the 3, so it's going to be a little bit easier to get a 2-point conversion, or your 3-point conversion from the 10. And for the 2 and 3-point conversions, you have to run like an actual play. You can't kick it. So it's like they call it a scrimmage play. So to me, that's adds a little extra element. You know, if you're down by 9 points, you can catch up all in one possession.
Yeah, interesting.
Or if you're down by 18, now you can play the game of, well, if we score 2 touchdowns and 2 3-point conversions.
Yeah,
I almost wonder if they're going to use the USL as like a way to like experiment with stuff. Because 3-point could be a thing. I could easily see the NFL being like, ooh, now that we see them throwing cool passes on a 10-yard play, that actually might be kind of fun.
No, it 100% is. They've said that they're going to try like different rules that they've wanted to try, or like that, you know, but they're maybe a little bit too risky for the NFL.
Yeah.
And see how the people react to it. And then also you got the XFL about to start their season.
Yes.
that's also very interesting. I think.
Oh, is that officially back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Same,
Oh, I thought
yeah,
they
we
were
got a
gone
team.
forever. The Battlehawks and all that. It's the same league.
Yeah, in St.
Essentially.
Louis, tickets are like $30.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty cool. I like to go to a game.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That caught me off guard on the commercial because there was you see that in the Super Bowl about like football season's not over. I had no idea what it was going to be about. And USFL. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll give that a shot.
On that note, we hit on into the NBA, and we're going to talk the Suns after adding Kevin Durant. Chris Paul is not taking the newest addition for granted. Read that wrong, my bad. But yeah, it's Paul, Durant, and Booker now, and the three big guys here. Can they make a run for it after the addition? I mean, because KD thinks they have a great shot. Clint?
Oh yeah, I think they're, it's going to be the betting favorite. I think there are, as opposed to other times where like a super team kind of comes together in the past couple of years, which seems to just be the normal, by the way.
Yeah.
Not sure if I'm a fan of this, but it's just like every other team is a super team. But there's a lot more like curiosities with teams. Like they traded away basically all of their like depth players to get Kevin Durant, so that's kind of unfortunate. So if there's any sense of injuries or like Kevin Durant kind of slows down in the playoffs because he is kind of older, Chris Paul's definitely going to slow down. If any of that kind of slows down, they don't have a lot of depth to hold them up.
No.
So it really is just Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Durant have to be amazing, which is possible. Definitely possible. And all you got to do is just win 15 games. But if that doesn't happen, it's not quite it's not quite the Miami Heat or the, definitely the Warriors of a couple years past where it's just like, oh, here we go. They might as well just call it the finals now. But it definitely rose from being just a team that probably wasn't going to make it to now an easy contender.
Yeah. Tony, agree?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't calling them. I think the fact that they made it to the finals last year, I think it's kind of disrespectful to think they weren't going to make it this year, or at least have a shot. I do think, I do agree with Clint though, that since they gave up a lot of depth, even though it may get easier in one way, it could easily get way harder if there is any sort of injury. So, basically, in a roundabout way, I have the same opinion as he does. I just thought that the Suns were a little bit more competitive to begin with.
Yeah, they probably just started out slow, and also it helps that like the Western Conference right now is pretty up in the air. There's not really another dominant team, so it's not like, well, they have to worry about the Warriors that are coming up, even though the Warriors just won it last year, but they're kind of so yeah, I think it was definitely a good move by the Suns, but if it doesn't work out, it could be kind of a bad move. It is kind of a risky move because they traded picks and players. And if Durant gets hurt, all of a sudden, all that goes into the dust because that was just a wasted year.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing with I'm a Mavericks fan. We kind of did a mini version of this where we traded away one pick for Kyrie Irving. And it's kind of like, if it works, it works. But if it doesn't, then it's like we have like the Aaron Rodgers of the NBA where it's just melodrama but player-wise, he's great. So we're kind of in that same boat.
Is he going to go into the week of darkness before the playoffs start?
He might. Maybe he'll be in the same cabin with Aaron. They're just dead silent, staring at each other. It looks like it's ayahuasca or something. But
hey, did Aaron Rodgers go to another team?
No,
not yet. Not yet.
He's spending time in darkness.
A 1 week darkness retreat in a cabin, whatever that means. Deciding on his future. Hey, you gotta do him. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about it on the Pat McAfee show. So
yeah, that's probably what will be announced.
Hey, we better be careful though. Brett Favre is suing Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
For defamation. So
yeah,
just
they
want to
seem
say
cool
up front. Everything. We were just joking, Mr. Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Shannon Sharp. So weird.
Yeah, what a weird combo. As if anybody's going to be on his side about that. Like, yeah, screw Shannon Sharp and Pat McAfee.
Well, didn't Shannon Sharp beat him in a Super Bowl?
No, that would have been, he was too young.
No,
but
he wasn't there with he wasn't there when John Elway.
Oh, Brett Favre, you mean? Oh, you're right. Yeah,
Brett Favre,
I was thinking Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why he's suing him. He's like, finally, I have a reason.
Yeah, no joke. And well, lastly, I got a chance to sit down with Kansas City current coach Matt Potter over Zoom yesterday, and here's what he had to say on the upcoming season, as well as who's the most energetic out of the new group of women that have come into Kansas City this year to just like revamp this team. I'm excited, but check it out.
Well, I mean, I think at the end of last year, we talked about how much learning there was last year for not only me, but the staff and the team in totality. But here we've been able to try and take an extra step. That extra step is to maybe reveal another layer of detail, go to a depth of learning that allows us to be even more fluid than we were last year in the way we wanted to live into our identity. And then the group, obviously, with its new members, we've still made sure that we're trying to build that collective identity off of the field that stood us in such good stead for last year through the season. So yeah, some of the same, but also trying to go to a new depth and new level of learning, if you like.
Hey, Coach. Out of all the new additions, who's had the most energy thus far coming in to see you guys?
Oh, good question. Well, I think right from the get-go, you could see the quality and the energy that Dabinia brings. You know, she's obviously one of the world's best players, and rightly so, has got the accolades to back that up. What's been really interesting is she's a quiet, self-assured, but quiet in how she goes about things. And when you see one of the top players in the world working with such an energy and enthusiasm to continue to get better, when you see a player like that work both sides of the ball, it makes it very difficult for other players not to follow that lead. And so in that sense, I think, you know, she's come in as one of the world's top players and really basically pushed on the quality of the group while still working in a very competitive environment. So yeah, she probably springs to mind to begin with, but what that's done is now it's allowed a group that excelled last year, and now that group is basically gone with her. And with that said, you know, Lola Bont has been energetic, Haley Mace, Alex Lawera, as I've said, you know, the group that played here last year have been really energized by the people that we've brought in. And from there to get together collectively, we're trying to improve a product on the field, which obviously did very well last year.
Great stuff from them. Can't wait for their season to open up, and preseason coming up pretty soon at the end of this month, or no, sorry, next month. But I'm excited there. And on that note, we'll go ahead and head into the local sports update brought to you by Trackside Burgers. They are open at 1515 West 10th Street in Joplin. So catch them in Joplin for your tailgate and catering needs. And, well, Joplin boys are on the road in Branson tonight. Webb will travel to undefeated Nixa. Neosho will be in Republic, and Carthage will be at Willard. All these games have a 7:30 tip, and we will finish out with a 2-minute warning brought to you by Hot Stone Pizzeria here in Webb City. And, yeah, go get one of their pizzas today. Super excited for them. Definitely a good tailgate food as well. So, but yeah, MSSU women and men will host Fort Hays State for Senior Day, with the women tipping at 1:30 and the men to follow. That will be their final home game of the season before the MIAA tournament. And Pitt State will host Nebraska Kearney, with the women beginning at 1:30 as well, and the men to follow. As for baseball, 7-2 MSSU will host the MSSU Invite, and they will take on McKendree today at 4. Illinois Springfield tomorrow at 1, and Sunday they will host Minnesota State Mankato at 10 a.m. As for Pitt State, they play host to 2 teams this weekend. Today at 3 they play Sioux Falls, then tomorrow at 3 they take on Metro State. And then Sunday they have a doubleheader beginning at 12 against Sioux Falls and Metro State at 3. As for softball, MSSU heads to Oklahoma today to play in the MIAA GAC crossover. MSSU plays at 10:30 a.m. today against Arkansas State, and then at 1 versus East Central. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. they take on Southeastern Oklahoma. Then at 3 p.m. they take on Southern Nazarene. And Sunday, big slate for them. They end against number 16 Southern Arkansas at 1 p.m. For Pitt, they host the Pitt Triangular starting tomorrow as they have a doubleheader against Wayne State at 1 p.m. and Drury at 5 p.m. Sunday, they will play Wayne State at 10 a.m. and Drury at 2 p.m. Of course, all these games and events are pending till the weather and the current and fluid COVID-19 situation. Tune in to each team's social media pages for times and updates and locations for this weekend's tournaments as well. Music continues. End of another episode. Chiefs are Super Bowl champions, but not according to Tony. So if you guys have a problem with that, go ahead and talk him up on Twitter, Facebook. Go find him. He'll take that, right?
Sure. I mean,
he's willing to talk as long as you find him.
Bring it on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to y'all. I mean, if you guys are okay with getting stuff handed to you. That's cool.
Yeah. Sounds good. Permission. We're good. But yeah, we'll catch you all next week on the show and getting ready for March Madness. Check it out.
And that was your sports timeout.
Go to the corner, Clint. Go to the corner. You're in timeout.
Okay, sorry.
See you next week.